Okay, this video is to show you the Canvas Path Tools activity. So here at our first screen, we're going to select illustration and our new page will come up. What we'll need to do is we're going to practice using the polygon tool. So we'll go here to this toolbox. We're going to go to this button here and we're going to select the polygon tool. So we'll click that and the directions ask us to draw some object here using the polygon tool. So I'm going to change some of these colors around, and it asks us to click somewhere in the white space and create an anchor point. That's the starting point right there. And as we click, it will continue to make these shapes based on where we click. When you're finished and you have something drawn like this, you can either double click or you can press escape on the keyboard. I like to press escape. So once you do that, there should be a box around the outside of your shape here. Next, you're able to change the colors if you need to. You can go back into the presets palette here and choose a different color for the fill or a different color for the line around the outside. So you can change those. So once you have done that, then we will delete this shape. So I'll make sure it's highlighted here, it's selected, and I'll press delete on the keyboard. We'll go back to our polygon tool, and we're going to make something that looks like number 6 in your book. Looks like a mountain range. So I'm going to go ahead and click those and continue clicking until I have a few mountains, and press escape. And then I'm going to draw a sun behind those mountains. So I'm going to have no line color and I'll have a fill color, yellow. And I'll draw my circle there. And I want my circle to be behind my mountains, my sun behind the mountains. So I'm going to right click on my sun, arrange, and I'm going to send it back behind the mountains. So number 7 is what you see here on your screen. The next step, it asks us to smooth those mountains. So if we have a jagged shape like this, we can smooth it. So if I click on those mountains and I go up to Path and select Smooth, I can smooth those lines out if I don't like them to be pointy. So that's the modified mountains, more like a hill. Okay, so step number 9. We're going to draw some objects using the freehand tool. So I'm going to go back into this menu here. And the freehand tool is the one with the pencil, and it has a little dashed line next to it. So we can draw things freehand, and we'll end up with some sort of shape that's freehand drawn. Instead of straight lines connecting and then forming the mountains, you can also draw like that. So you can practice using that tool to make different things. It says you can make fish for your lake, bird, airplane in the sky. You practice using that tool to draw things as well, and then it will form a solid shape when you're finished. So I'm going to try to draw some. I don't want that. I'm going to draw some clouds here. Okay, so you can draw some different shapes, try different things, practice using the tool and seeing how that works. So number 10, you'll draw a flower using the auto curve tool. So we're going to go ahead and put that down here. If you don't have space, you can move stuff around. So we can use the selection tool here, and we can select some of these things and move them out of our way. So we have a little bit more space down below or above, whichever. Okay, next we're going to make our flower. So what we'll need to do is we're going to use the auto curve tool. So I'm going to go to the menu right here, and the sub menu, I'm going to select the auto curve tool, and I'm going to make a flower. So I want to pick the color for the petals. That would be appropriate, purple. And I'm going to select a spot here to start. Try that again. And as I draw, you'll notice that it'll automatically curve between these 4 points. So I'll make a petal and press escape, and that'll be a single petal. And I'll want to change the colors on that. So it'll stay purple. There we go. And I'll go back and I'll pick that auto curve tool again, and I'll make another petal. So for each one of those, I will press the escape key, and I can make separate petals by doing that. And once I get those done, then I put oval on the inside to make it complete. And I'll select my oval tool, and I'll give it a different color. Fill that in the center. So that's one way of making your flower. You can make separate petals, so then if you need to change each individual one, you can. Or what you can do, I'm going to move this off to the side, you can make all the petals at once. So I'm going to go ahead and pick another color here, and pick my auto curve tool, and I could start and make my petals all together by simply clicking around. It takes some practice, and if you mess up, we could always go back and we can always make adjustments according to our needs. So if I messed up that curve tool, I can always go back. I can edit those. If I double click inside this area, these little blue handles appear, and I can modify my shapes if I need to. And I'll put an oval inside, make that one green color as well. And so I have 2 flowers made 2 different ways, but same sort of results. So once I get that done, then I can save this. Make sure you're always saving as you're working through. And the next steps are going to take you through and have you do some effects on the shapes here. So we can go ahead and select the flower here and go up to sprite effects, and it asks us to go to the blur menu and do a Gaussian blur. And what that does is it kind of blurs the flower a little bit, and it doesn't have really crisp edges. It blurs it a little bit, makes it a little bit more natural looking. And so we can adjust that and click OK. And it also asks us to draw some stem and leaves using the freehand tool. So we go to this menu here and then select the freehand tool, and we can draw stem in freehand. And every time you finish a tool, you have to go back and click it again. And so we'll just practice using some of these form tools. Okay, so I worked pretty fast, so you would want to do a little better job. Take your time. The slower you go, the better you are. So at this point, you'd want to make sure you save your work. If you have any questions, please ask your teacher.